Go.
Sounds like a Terminator shit.
Dude, literally, yes, it is.
Like he's gonna come for me and my unborn child.
All right, I gotta. Let me see if I can pull up at least a picture real quick. Makes it feel more at least official for me, I guess. Yeah, in a sense. All right, let's. All right, welcome to the Just Smile podcast. This is episode 1. I'm trying to think of a more clever name for this for this podcast, but I thought maybe like Musashi podcast just doesn't suit the it doesn't suit for the what do you call it, for the podcast name or the whole spiel. But I'll think of something later on, right? Maybe the name will change. I don't know. But this is the first ever episode, and today I got a lovely guest here, the wonderful Simp, also known as Andrew. What's up, man?
Hi, what's up, y'all?
So, dude, how was it like now that you're on a, I guess, a not so known podcast?
Dude, honestly, it feels pretty lit, dude. Like this is my first ever podcast. Thank you for having me.
Oh, dude, it's any time, man. You know, I was, you know what's crazy is I have done podcasts, but they've always been just on my own. The
Right.
coolest thing though is at least I have a guest on the channel, or at least a guest on the podcast to say the least.
hmm
You
I'm
sound enthusiastic. I like it. You're very excited. I'm very honored to have you here. Thank you for coming.
yes, and thank you for having me. This is a wonderful experience, and I'm glad to be your first guest on your podcast.
So yes, indeed, and there was going to be another person, right? Mr. I Matthew, which I think he'll come on a later podcast. Unfortunately, well, I mean, he was here in the call, but apparently he decided to leave, and that was the saddest part of it all. But at least we have you, so I'm glad you're here. Which,
Mm,
speaking of glad that you're here, we're already in April, and your
Mm-hmm.
birthday's coming up.
Yes, indeed. I'm turning
Oh
19 years old. I'm excited to be another year on this earth.
gosh. Yeah, dude, 19 years old. Like one more year and you're gonna be 20, and then the year after that you're gonna be 21. Unbelievable, man. Well, I just can't wait till you turn 21 because I've been dying to go to a bar and like go get something to drink.
Yes, I would love to go get a drink with you and go see Mr. Walker, Mr. Noriega in the bar as well. Some of our former teachers, as you may know.
Yes, the good old Daddy Walker and Noriega. So for those that don't know, there's a we used to be in a class together. There's this great teacher named Mr. Noriega and another named Mr. Walker, which actually, to be fair, they are like a power couple. They've always have been a pretty strong power couple, best of friends. You know.
hmm Yeah, the connection that they have is very good, and they have like that strong bond. Like they're more than just like coworkers; they're like best friends. You know.
It- How long have they like been? I don't even think they've been. Well, no, they've been best friends for quite some time though. Well, I don't know how long they've been at they've been at like CEC for, also known as the Career Enrichment Center. But I think from what Noriega told me, like ever since maybe like 20 years friendship.
Yeah,
It's
it's. I think he said that too. That's like been more than 20 years that they've known each other.
I really can't. I really don't know if I'm being honest. I'm kind of just
hmm
guessing numbers because you know well, I mean, I really can't tell how long they've been friends for. It seems like they were like, butt buddies since what was it? Since like they came out of the womb, both the moms were like in the, across the hall from the hospital, and got out of the womb, and just out of nowhere, both of them were coming out at the same time. Both the moms with their babies, and just like Noriega and Mr. Walker, they're just like looking at each other, and they're like, "We're gonna be best friends. You just watch." And then there you go. Then now they're like best friends.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Which
like how the.
oh
Go
no,
ahead.
which I was gonna say, it's like, speaking of best friends. How long have we been friends for? Like, at least a good solid, was it 3 years? I think.
2 3 years.
Has it been 2 years? I don't know. No, I can't. I don't even remember the year it started, but it was really interesting because we were in the cafeteria, and just I was like, hey, I really need a pencil or a calculator. Do you have one
It was
on
a
deck?
calculator.
Was it a calculator? Nice.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
calculator.
Yeah, cause yeah, I needed one badly for my math class, and I left one in my dad's car at the time. So I was like, dude, I need to get a calculator quick, because the teacher, right, was like super strict, and any time that we missed one of our materials or just homework in general, he would get legitimately pissed off, which is Mr. McIntyre. Anything that you missed on, he would get pretty upset.
Hmm. Yeah,
Which
which you didn't have your calculator there, and which I just pulled one out of my backpack and saved your day, and then the rest was history.
all because it started with a calculator. Which, by the way, though, there's always those weird like weird stories that people will tell you, just like how they become like super best friends just over like something simple, I guess. Like, there is a story where, like, one of my coworkers was telling me that they were, him and his buddy, they like hated each other's guts in like elementary school. And there was just a day where, I guess they decided they wanted to go fight, like in the playground, or I don't know. I think just like one was being a bully and the other one was like trying to defend himself. So they decided to meet up on like I don't know. I think it was like the playground or something. And as they were about to get into like the altercation, they started laughing. And I mean, after that, the rest is history. They've been friends for easily 30 years.
Yeah, that's crazy how life could be. Like you could be enemies one day, and then just like you forgive and forget, and you're best friends the next day. That's how crazy life could be.
I remember the first time, my first closest friend. I think I've told you this story before, but it was a guy named Christian. Right? He was my first ever best friend, and we met since kindergarten, but we didn't start hanging out until the third grade, and we hated each other. I remember there'd be days where I would go over to his house, and he was always the cool one because he used to have like a bunch of rated M games, so like Call of Duty and like Grand Theft Auto. So we would always hang out at his house in the third grade, and we always used to talk about how we hated each other. Like, oh, I hated your guts, or like there was just something about you where I like, you had like this face where I wanted to just like punch it, or oh, I always wanted to just like punch you in the stomach for no reason because I didn't like you. You just had this attitude that I don't like. And from there, right, we became best friends till sixth grade. And then after sixth grade, it just stopped because he decided to hang out with a whole bunch of bad individuals, uh, which to this day, right, still hurts. But it's already the past, and we already like made up because sooner or later he did find me on Instagram a few months back, and he told me, he's like, yeah, like the homie that I used to hang out with, yeah, he was a real douche, and I should have like listened to you. I'm telling you, man, I was a really good friend to a lot of people, and then just some decided to back off after a while.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta drop those toxic people from your life because there could be a bad influence on you. And I totally agree with that. Like, you gotta hang yourself with the right crowd. And if you want to lead yourself to success, you gotta hang around with others that are driven with the same success that you want. And that's something that I saw in you. Like me and you, like clicked like that. It was like chemistry. Like we both had our goals in life, and I remember you were in the DNA program, and you like shaved on me, and then like I was like inspired by you, and I did that program, and now here I am today, wanting to become a registered nurse.
See, that's what I like to hear. You got the goals you want to
You
achieve.
want to
That's what I like to hear, especially when I did the shave portion of it. So there was an assignment, right, where we had to do like we had to shave one another because it was a part of the, I guess like our initiation to be CNAs, or it was just a part of the unit. And
Hmm.
I had nobody to test it on because nobody wanted to, you know, have me shave their facial hairs. So first I went to Noriega, and already like this dude has a ginormous beard, and he's like, "No, I'm not doing it. There's just no way you're not touching this beard." And I think I went over to Matthew, but he doesn't have any facial hair. He's just a baby.
Hmm.
And I saw you had like little bushy parts here and there. I was like, "Hey, dude, do you want me to shave you?" Yeah, heck yeah, man. Like let's do it. I'm down for that. And I still have the pictures of when I first uh did the shave on you. And the next day you came over. Hey man, you did really good. That was a really good shave. Hey, you know what? If you want, I'll even pay you like $20 for you to shave me again for my prom. I was like, hey, you know what? Like I'll take free money any day.
Hmm. Yes, I still remember that day too because it was a couple weeks before we started like hanging out, like talking. Like that was the first time we ever met. So which it was like weird. Like I only knew you for about 3 weeks, and I trusted you like to shave me. In which like I was very like comfortable around you, and that's like something that like you had that like openness and like willingness, like like you're outgoing, and that's something that's awesome about you.
Heck yes, dude. Yeah, I'm more of like I'm like the type of person that's just like super shy, but like once you get to know me, it's a lot more better. Well, I mean, you could say the same for like most introverts anyways, because they're always shy about something, and then like you start to talk to a person and they finally start to open up, or probably not, right? I mean, there's there's a couple people that just don't like talk, which by the way is Matthew.
Yep,
It's
of
like
course.
it's like no matter what you say, it's he'll come back with a yeah, man. Oh yeah, for sure. That, but by the way, Matthew, no, that's we're just joking with you that you're not like that.
Yeah, Matthew Tyrell, he's such a amazing individual. Like, too bad he couldn't be here on the podcast today because he went to go sleep. To get his education. And, I totally agree, and I understand it completely. But like like sometimes he just like gets like on the wrong foot. Like basically once you get to know him, like he's like the coolest you'll ever meet, and
I
I
I
could vouch for that.
I agree. I agree with Matthew. I feel like once he gets on here, he's gonna wow the crowd. And you watch. He's gonna do that on this next podcast. But speaking of education, right, dude, uh, school is stressful. I feel bad for the people that literally could not, especially like the college freshmen, or the I guess you can even say college sophomores that had to deal with a whole bunch of the pre-COVID stuff. They're finally at the college campuses. They're all excited. They're like, "Yeah, we're gonna finally, we're gonna get our lives situated. We're finally gonna go to the dorms. We're gonna have a great time." And only just for the schools to be like, "All right, you're gonna get kicked out. You're going back home."
Hmm. Well,
Uh,
luckily for me, I went to a community college. As CNM, they don't have any dorms on campus, so I was doing all my stuff from home, and I got adjusted to it because in the class of 2020, the second half of our semester was online virtual because of coronavirus. And honestly, like I've been pretty good with it, and I'm looking forward to all this is over. Like I just want to go back and be learning inside the classroom because that's something that been used to my entire life. And that sudden change was like something like I was not used to, but I adapted.
you know what? I agree, but I'm also gonna like disagree because ever since high school, I've always been the person that has done online work. So ever since pre-pandemic, I had always been doing online classes, but it wasn't the point where it's like, you have to show up to class at 10:30 or anything like that. It was one of those classes where it's like, okay, here's all these assignments you have to do by midnight on Sunday, get them done, and then you get a grade. Right? So it was like a more of a at pace. And dude, I was grinding that easily for a solid solid 3 years. I started like C&M, or I went to the community college at what is it, like, in my sophomore year, and then in my sophomore year I did more classes during the summer, and then it kind of just, the rest is history, dude. But after completing some of the classes at the college, I went over to New Mexico State, which luckily, right, they did transfer over, which is a good thing. But I unfortunately had to stay because well, I have a pretty good job anyways. But I kind of regret just not going to college campus, or even just going to the community college, right? I mean, you've already been there already, and you probably have had like a good experience with like most of the people anyways, unless you've met like some people that are just like snobby and they're like, hey bro, let me see your homework, can I copy the answers off of you on that page 20?
Hmm. Yeah, I met some of those people before that like try to like take the easy way out and want to try like copy off of you, but like in college, like it's really not like that during the online because basically all the conversations are monitored by the campus and by the teachers, so which they anything that you write in there will be held against you. And I remember someone like forgot like that was a thing, and they actually were caught cheating because they were like giving the answers away. And little that person know, he got kicked from the class, and no one knows what really happened to him. And
Wait,
speaking of
wait,
credits for your college, how much did you graduate with from high school? Because I remember it was a high amount.
dude, how much did I graduate with? I think the last I checked, it was 50 plus. I think it was, yeah, no, it was like 50 plus because I remember there was like, what is it, the principal was doing that what is it, the senior assembly, and he was on the part where he was announcing the folks that had like the most college credits going in like intervals of 10. So 10 plus, stand up, and he announces all of the names. So I was looking at my degree audit, and I see that there was like 40 applicable credits that was going towards my degree. And I was about to stand up, and I was like, hey, you forgot to call on me. And I kind of just like waited for a little bit. I just sat down, and I'm like, oh, maybe he just forgot, or maybe I'll just, I'll just wait to see what else he's going to announce. And he then goes up to 50 plus, and already, you have like heads turning around. They're like, 50 plus. What the heck? Who did it? And there was some people in my graduating class. They're like, yeah, it is Kevin. And so he announces my name, and I just stand up, and I kind of just look around all awkwardly, just I'm waving to the crowd like if I'm the Queen of England, saying hi to my peasants. I mean, I'm sorry, the my people.
Hmm. Yeah, and
Which
I remember that
was cool.
too. I remember that. I remember I was very proud of you. I was very proud of you. Even though I got to know you like that year, like I was like super proud of you. Like I was probably the loudest one in the crowd, if you can remember.
Yes, I remember. Yes, I remember. And you know what, dude? Like I'll be honest. I was stressed through most of my senior year. Like, to kind of let me put this in perspective. I had taken four high school classes, and then throw on top of the C&M classes, which were easily about five, and then I had a couple of UNM, uh, or the University of New Mexico, right? So I had to take a couple UNM dual credit classes. So, I mean, easily that equaled up to like 10, right? Maybe 10, 11 classes, and I managed to at least get A's and B's. There was some occasional C's, but that was just because I got lazy on some of the work, which, I mean, not gonna lie, most people will do that anyways. But yeah, it was stressful, man. I didn't have an easy senior year. They say that senior year is supposed to be light and your junior year is the most stressful, but I guess it was the opposite because it was, junior year was the more relaxing and senior year just out of nowhere was like, "Hey, you want to have a really easy senior year?" Psych. It just ran with the ball and I was trying to catch up with it before I ran out of air and just, you know, I almost gave up at one point, but I got up and bam, I just picked up that ball and I just ran off.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember. You should give yourself a round of applause because like most people wouldn't do exactly what you're doing. You graduated with 50 plus credits and managing your social life and managing your schoolwork. Like that's something like most people can't do, and like that shows like how mature that you were, and how much like you've brightened up. Because I remember my senior year, basically I was dedicated to my CNA program. Like that was like something that driven me and that made me motivate me even more. And that was like something that I really was into and like I want to pursue it.
Well, since we took the CNA class together, dude, because I remember there would be days where I'd be like, "Yo, dude, let's go do something." You're like, "Nah, I got CNA." I was like, "You know what? That's very understandable." But you know what? Speaking of CNA, right? Probably one of the worst subjects that I had to learn was probably the what was it? I think it was like making the bed. I think like the first semester was awful because it was like, oh, let's learn how to make the bed the proper way. And there was another one where we had to, what was it like, feed, how to feed somebody, if somebody was, like, I don't know. I think I really don't know how I could describe it. But I think the worst unit that I had to learn was probably like the first one, which was how to make the bed. Because to be honest, I'm pretty bad when it comes to making the bed. Even in my own house, I can't. Like I just get too lazy to make my bed.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I was really good at making the beds because basically that's something that I was like driven. Like I had all that energy and the focus in which I want to like, start the semester strong and I want to end it strong. And like I was like an outshine in my class because basically my teacher knew, everyone else knew around me, knew that I was like driven, in which, I wouldn't say that I wanted to strive to be the best, but I wanted to like, prove my worth and I want to show to everyone that like it's possible to be successful and like, be like really good, and if you put your mind to it you could accomplish anything, and that's something that I strongly believe in.
Well, now since you're a CNA, right? You actually got certified by the state. But dude, what was like the worst? Well, I'm not even gonna say what's the worst, but probably what was the best thing about the CNA program, dude?
The CNA program was just opportunity. Like basically before joining the CNA program, I was either thinking of becoming a plumber or an electrician. I had no plans of going on to college. I had no plans like, just go with trade school, get certified in trade and work for the rest of my life until retirement. But once I joined that program, like my life changed forever. And like, like I said, you were one of my biggest influences of joining that class. But like I would like to also give a huge shout to my our nurse instructor, Miss Whitney. Miss Whitney always believed in me. She always like saw like my confidence and like, when there's some days I didn't feel like, like myself, in which, she would push me to be my best, and that's something that I will forever be grateful for. And she's the only teacher that I could only like tell that like has really driven me and like made me want to continue my career path of becoming a registered nurse to this day.
Yeah, that sounds really gnarly because actually, dude, I gotta give her props, right? Miss Whitney, right, the CNA instructor. But she literally she did teach pretty well. I didn't like the fact that there was some of the classmates in there that would always like bash and like talk trash behind Miss Whitney's back, and I used to pick up on that type of attitude, right, with some of my peers. But like at the end of the day, like yeah, I kind of have to be a caregiver anyways for for my mom. So like to be honest, I'm kind of grateful I took the class because I'm able to use the at least some of the skills that I already know and like put that into action. Which again, right, I kind of have to thank Miss Whitney. But unfortunately, yeah, unfortunately, she falls under the tier of like top two. So she's number two, probably the number one teacher that I will always be thankful and appreciative is to Mr. Noriega. Like, if anything, he was the guy that taught me so much and had put so much emphasis in what I wanted to do. He was kind of like the cheerleader for me, if I'm being honest. Same could also be same. You can say the same thing too for Miss Whitney. She was also like a cheerleader for you on getting your like life straight and all that good stuff, even when it was not about school.
Hmm. Yes, Miss Whitney. Like I still contact her with to this day. Like last week, I just texted her and like want to see what's up. Like check up on her and like see how her family's doing and how like how everything's been with during this whole pandemic because like she's like someone that like I wish to like stay in contact with forever and like share my experience of like my goals of becoming a nurse because she was the one that like introduced me to this amazing field that I'm so happy and so grateful to be part of and I hope to pursue in the future. But like Mr. Noriega too, he was like a father figure. I looked up to him as well. He shared some like very, very great wisdom and knowledge that like no other teacher I feel like have provided because like you could talk with him about anything. He'll show an interest in it and he will like, give you some good advice. I remember he gave me some good advice and was always willing to give in a helping hand to make sure you succeed.
He was one of the realest teachers, and like that's to me that's fortunate because there's like I feel bad for any other person that has to deal with one of those grumpy teachers in a high school, or even not even in high school, just in college too, because you'll get some snobby people that just don't like their job or they just don't care for like the student. Like I can easily tell you a time in middle school. Well, yeah, in middle school actually, there was a teacher. Her name was like we'll just say Miss H because I literally forgot what her last name is, and probably that for good reasons because I mean I genuinely didn't care about this teacher anyways. Um, but she would always be grumpy and there I never understood why she would be grumpy. Like you would come into class and if you had your backpack on she would instantly like scream. She'd be like, get your backpacks off and put it under the desk, like like almost if like we're in boot camp and she's the drill instructor just screaming from the top of her lungs. And like essentially I had my buddies tell me, I'm like, hey, how's the teacher like today? And they kind of would give me like all the details, like, yeah, I mean, she's still yelling and screaming. We just don't know why, and we don't like her. And one day she ended up having, I guess, some weird, I don't know, I guess like a depression state, because like she would cry and then she would go like towards her desk and just don't like, she wouldn't even teach anything at all for math. And eventually it got to the point where she just like left and we had a substitute in the class. There was even a teacher too, for my science class. She was, you know, grumpy too, just didn't give a shit about the job. And she didn't even care about us as students. Like she just handed us the paperwork and she said, do your work and turn it in, and that is it. And then eventually, sooner or later, she quit because she got sick, and so we had a substitute teacher. But those are the only two instances where I had to deal with pretty shitty teachers. But I don't know about you if that's different.
I went to the middle school that I went to. It was South Valley Prep. It was a charter school, and I was fortunate to have some great teachers, except for one teacher that stood out from the rest. It was my one of my math teachers from seventh grade. So it's basically he was like this big jerk. Like he was a replacement because our teacher got a higher position at a higher school. So she took the opportunity and left. So which we got this new teacher, and this guy was a total weirdo. he would like get as soon as you go in there, like he didn't want any food, no drinks, no nothing. I remember like we went this one time instance where this girl who was like couldn't finish her lunch in time because all the microwaves are occupied, so she still had ramen noodles in her mouth. And I kid you not, that guy went up to her and like told her to open up her mouth, and he grabbed the noodles and threw it away. And like this dude eventually got fired because basically he was like so much complaints from like other people and from other classes too, and like basically he was like treat like us like if we were like not more students but less more like animals. And which basically for the rest of the year after that we had substitute teachers and just like math problems to do. And overall, like like it wasn't that bad, but like I wish we would have had like a better structure for math because going into high school, like I was a little bit lost going into math class, in which I managed to pull through, and here we are today.
Nice. Yes, dude. You know what? As far as like teachers though, if you were if you had a time where you could like go back and see one of your teachers once again, or I don't know, maybe they're alive or dead. You just don't know. But um, who would you say is your worst teacher that you've ever had? Who was the best teacher that you've had? Right. This is from like kindergarten to 12th grade. Like any teacher that you can think of. I have a couple on the list, but what is yours?
Okay, so can I talk about like one of my teachers from elementary school and then from East high school?
Yeah, you know what, that works. Yeah, that works.
Okay, so I had one of the best teachers in third grade. My third grade teacher was so awesome. Basically, when I was in third grade, I was very antisocial. I didn't like fit in with a group of people. Like I was just there, and like my teacher like saw that, and like he was like a very like chill teacher. He didn't have any like kids, but like he wanted like to have some with his fiance, which he looked at me like if I was his son, which he told me that one time in his parent teacher conference because like he saw like the potential in me, and he would help me tutor, and he would like spend extra time on me if I needed help with anything. And like I had like a special bond with him. Like me and him were like really tight, which I could always go to him for anything. Anytime I was having a rough day, anytime like I didn't feel like comfortable at school or anything, I could always count on him. And basically, I would always go visit him after even third grade. Basically, during early in the morning, I would go say hi. And I remember one time in fourth grade, at the end of the year, he came looking for me, and he had a box of a MacBook, which I thought he was going to give me a brand new MacBook. He opened it up and he gave me a lot of old Star Wars comic books. They're like from the 1970s, 1960s, even. Like these were like some of his like prized comic books of just Star Wars, and I was like very honored to take them. I still have them in my closet to this day, and I will always be grateful for that. In which I was fortunate enough to see him again my sophomore year of high school, and like to share with him like, oh, I'm doing like pretty well, and like I always like looked up to you because you're like one of my favorite teachers
Right.
growing up, in which I will always like have that soft spot for him. And then I met Miss Whitney, and like Miss Whitney was like more of a bigger influence on me with my educational studies, and that's something I'll always be grateful for. Now, the
Very
worst teacher, I would have to what?
no, very nice. Very nice. Good teachers all across the board.
Mhm.
What about the
Yep.
worst?
Mhm. Now, the worst teacher I would have to say was my fifth grade teacher. My fifth grade teacher was atrocious. She was awful. So, it's basically, her name was, let's call her Miss M. Miss M, she was a teacher who, wanted to, like, she was relatively new, and which basically, I remember her taking days off for like months. I remember she was taking days off for weeks, and which basically we didn't have like see her a lot, so which we had lots of substitute teachers, and like I didn't have that good foundation going into middle school because I remember I was below average with my reading level, and which basically I didn't get any help with in elementary school because we had a bunch of substitute teachers because my teacher would always be gone, and which basically I feel like I didn't have a good teacher fifth grade because she was never there for us.
Ah, damn. Dude, that sounds exactly like one of the teachers I used to have. So one of the worst ones that I can recall um was in third grade, right? So I guess if we're going off of the tree of elementary, middle, and uh, high school, right? So I guess I'll start off with the worst. The worst one I had in third grade, right? Her name was Westlake, right? And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, she was like pretty chill on some days, but she would always have like this attitude where I don't know, like again, like this boot camp type uh type of classroom. You can't do anything, right? You shut up, you do your work, right? Those are the ones I hated the most, right? Where you like you can't talk with anybody because the teacher just wants absolute silence. But I remember one day which we got back from what was it, winter break. The teacher, I don't know, for some reason was like in a good mood, and she said, "Oh, you guys are doing really great with your homework. You guys are getting good grades, and you guys are being really, really good on your best behavior. I'm gonna throw you all a pizza party." And you know what? I mean, as kids, you hear the word pizza, you instantly think, hey, the good times are coming. You get to chill with your squad, and you get to watch a movie, and every Friday, up till the end of the school year, we would keep asking, "Hey, when is this pizza party?" "Oh, it'll be like another 2 weeks because we still got to get some work to do." "Oh, we're not throwing a pizza party because we're going on a field trip." "Oh, we're not going to give you a pizza party because we got some visitors coming in on a Friday." Like almost like an excuse for everything. And then when those Fridays would come, she would kind of like lie. She's like, "Oh, like I'm sorry. I thought we would have a guest, but haha, we didn't. So sorry about that. I'll owe you guys like a pizza party slash ice cream." And by the end of the year, we never got our pizza party, which again sucked ass. Absolutely horrible. It's like you don't ever you don't ever mess around with kids. They ask for pizza. We're gonna we're gonna come and give her a good old beating and show her what we are made of. That was
Yep.
that was horrible. That was absolutely bottom, F tier of the teacher that I had. There was say I guess elementary school again. There was a teacher named Miss Nagel, and kind of give you some background, right? So I wasn't the best when it came to comprehension. So I was put in right. I was kind of put in a program, right, to help enhance the comprehension level, right? I mean, I was good at reading, I was good at math. For some reason, my comprehension was just awful. And this teacher got to the point where like she would force me to read books, and I was like, okay, like that's whatever. But there's an instance where I was placed in an honors program for math because I was really good, right? I mean, for my age, like doing like word problems and doing a whole bunch of multiplication, division, etc. Like I was really good. And eventually, she came up to me one day and she said, "Hey, you need to be back in my class at this certain time." And I said, "No, I don't want to. I'd rather be doing math than, reading a book or reading like the Magic Treehouse." You've read Magic Treehouse before, right? Right?
Of course, yes, I love Magic Treehouse.
Dude, it's all right. It's not my cup of tea, but I mean it was okay. But moral of the story, right, is she tells me, "Hey, you need to come back to class, and you need to come back and practice on your reading comprehension." I was like, "No, I'd rather would just do my math. Leave me alone, thank you." And it got to the point where she called my mom and she said, hey, you either gotta take him out of this math program and put him into my class, or or you take him out, but he's gonna be losing all of the benefits that I can teach him. And so my mom kind of bought into my teacher's BS. And so the next day when I went into class, the math teacher was like, "Oh, hey, by the way, you're out of the program." And I said, "What?" And she said, like, "Yeah, you're gonna be going back to Miss Nagel's class so that you can be doing some, like, reading comprehension, but basically you're done." And that was just by your parents saying. And to this day forward, I don't ever want to see her face again, and I don't ever want to talk to her because she ruined my honors math experience. But I mean, overall, like, she wasn't bad of a teacher, but she was just boring, really dull. And to this day, right, I can still hear the flashbacks. I can still hear the voices that she used to say, "Oh, yeah, you're doing really good, huh? You're doing fantastic." And I'm like, don't be lying to me. Always be throwing in these white lies, and I could easily tell when she would do it. But other than that, though, middle school, mm, I don't think I had any bad teachers overall. Maybe besides the Miss H and my science teacher from sixth grade. But other than that, all of the teachers were pretty chill. They didn't have like any problems with me. I was always the nice kid, so you know all of the teachers' anger would always be directed towards the kids as they were all the troublemakers. Which, by the way, I actually do have a funny story of my again another middle school experience. But we'll get to that in a moment. High school. Um, None. I didn't have any bad teachers in high school. When when I was at Del Norte and then to CEC, no no bad teachers. All of them were really good. But if we're talking about the best, right? If I had to put them on an S tier, Mr. Noriega, right from high school, eh, grade A teacher. Loved him as a teacher. Apparently he teaches college kids, which I wish I was taking like some of his classes now, but unfortunately he only teaches at UNM. So that's the sad part. But again, great teacher. I loved him. He was a really great man. Um, Probably had to do well. I might have to give Mr. Walker, number two. Miss Whitney, number three. Even though I said Miss Whitney was like number two on the list, but she was like number two just like like on the mom level, like a great lady to talk with, great great stuff in general. She was a great teacher. She was a great role model. But when it came down to like advice, yeah, to be honest, I was kind of like, I think I've heard this already from my mom, so she falls on the number three list, like number three. Um,
That's funny.
yeah, well, I'm being honest. What is it? Maybe you don't know this, but I remember when I went on this field trip. Right, it was for Earth Day, and Miss Whitney was, I guess she was being like a little bit precautious because I said, hey, I have this field trip I want to go on, but I kind of want to get my, I guess, the lab out of the way. Or I don't even think it was a lab; it was a clinic day. And she said,
Hmm.
"Oh, well, we can do that, but we would have to start like super early. So we would have to start at like 6, and then you would be able to leave by 9 o'clock." And I was like, "Okay, like we'll get that done." And before I left the door from the nursing home, she said, "Hey, what's your number so that you can text me when you're at the school?" And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What?" It's like I already do this already with my mom. Like I don't want to be texting you about if I'm okay and stuff. Like I'll be fine. Like this school is gonna take care of me. But I remember like she did that, and I was like, yeah, I'm here. And she's like, okay, great, that's perfect. But it just felt like I had like I guess a mom, you know, and at the time, which again I appreciate for, but I feel like that was just like
Hmm.
something that she didn't have to do, you know.
Hmm.
So she again. probably on the A tier. Not an S tier, but a solid A. Middle school, all of the teachers were great. There was one specifically. His name was Mr. Torres. He was my language arts teacher. He was he was a funny guy. I can tell you there was a where I didn't do a book report, and I kind of like half-fasted, right? And so it was like the last minute rush, procrastination. And I remember I go up to do my presentation, and I'm kind of just saying, oh, here's what the book is about, blah blah blah, and I'm trying to like make it up as I go. And the and Mr. Torres, he kind of looks at me, like with this, I guess, confused look, and he says, "Hey, Kevin." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Did you read the book by any chance?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, like I read the book." And he says, "Well, then tell me your favorite quote that from this book. Like it could be any quote that you want." So I'm just like flipping the pages. I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, I have the quote saved here." And I'm like scrolling through like the pages to see what sounded like really cool. And I get to a part where it was like the dialogue for the for the book, right? It was like I don't know, like Jack and Jill, we'll say. And it's like, oh, the flowers were blooming, and I can see the butterflies, etc. And I was reading that quote out, and he says, what do you think that means? And again, I'm just giving like a bullshit answer. Oh, that just means that Jill is in love, and this just gives deep context, a deep meaning. Like this made me cry because she's trying to engage on how her feelings are, and he didn't buy into the line. He says, like, no, like, be honest, you read your book or not? I said no. He's like, all right, go sit down, you're getting an F. And like, and I just said, hey man, I was like, hey, thank you. And he's like, yeah, you know what, I'll give you an A. And I was like, oh, I was like, what? Okay. He's like, really? And he's like, yeah, I'll just give you an A. He's like, at least you tried. And yeah, he gave me an A on his on the project, even though I literally didn't read the book and just half-assed the project.
That's funny, dude. Yeah, but like going back to like what you said about Miss Whitney, like I totally like disagree with her being on A tier. I think she was a superior teacher, dude. Because like basically like going back to what I said earlier, like she was like my biggest role model. Like she was like a big influence on me, and like yeah, she did have that motherly like love to it. But like I really appreciate that because it shows that like she cared about like her students, like if they were her own like kids or even grandkids too. Because with her grandkids Owen and Evan, she is a grandmother. So it's basically she wants the best for not only her like her family, but like for her students, and that's like something that like she told me like she's like sees that like I'm wanting to strive to become the best, and like she's full heartedly supports it. You know.
Yes, dude. I think right. I still disagree. I think she'd still fall on an A tier. There was just something that I kind of like didn't click with Miss Whitney, but I don't know. I can't really like put a finger on it, but it's like it's right at the tip of my tongue, and I can almost you know give her an S tier, but I don't know. Like she just deserves a solid A. Maybe it's just because like we didn't communicate as much, but I felt like I think maybe if we engaged in like more conversation, I think she would have been an S tier. But I think that ticket has to go to Noriega because I felt like I had more conversations with him and on life advice, especially when it came to just like college and life in general, what to do and what not to do. Uh, I think yeah, he gets an S tier. But you know what? Even speaking about influencers, if if there was an opportunity, right? Like you get to choose any teacher in the world, right? This could be like celebrity. This could be your mom. This could be anybody in the world, right? To be your teacher for a full year. Like maybe language arts or math or like gym teacher, etc. Who would what would be your ideal teachers to have?
Okay, so you said it could be celebrities too, right?
Yeah, it could be like I don't know. It could be like celebrities. It could literally be I don't know, like your Uncle Ken from across the street. You know, talking about like mechanics. It could literally be The
Hmm.
Rock as your gym, your gym teacher. I don't know. Just I mean, whatever you can think of.
Honestly, like I thought about this before, in which I would love to have Bill Nye the Science Guy as my what's called science teacher. I feel like he would be so fun to like be around, like learn from him and like learn and just learn a lot from about science. Because as you may know, like Bill Nye the Science Guy is like the goat, right?
He's 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 a goat.
Mm-hmm.
Grade A science teacher. You know,
Mm-hmm.
everybody knows Bill Nye the Science Guy. I remember those times in the classrooms where the teachers were like, I don't want to teach today. Let's just watch Bill Nye the Science Guy. And you know for a fact when you heard the Bill Nye the Science Guy theme song, you were in it for a good time.
Mm-hmm. And when they roll in that TV with the what's called that big brick TV rolling in into the classroom, it's gonna be good.
No way.
You
Don't even get me started on the what is it, the CRT TVs back in the day? Oh,
yeah.
oh no, dude, that's a nostalgia. I remember in kindergarten, there would be like a certain hour where we would be watching like, was it Reading Rainbow, and sometimes like I don't even know what else. It was like Reading Rainbow, sometimes Arthur in the on the TVs. Dude, oh my, dude, that's a dude. Don't be bringing memories like that, dude. It makes me feel like I'm a
Mm-hmm.
kid again.
Mm-hmm. Now going back to your question, who would you like to have as your teacher for an entire year?
Dude, if I had to, if I had to choose, well, it depends. It can be like any subject.
Mm-hmm. It could be any subject, any celebrity, and anyone.
Hmm. You know what? If as an art teacher, well, like let me be honest, bro. I can't paint for shit. So I would love to be in an art class with Bob Ross. Like imagine just going into class. I mean, you're already, first off, you're going to be learning from a master artist, okay? That's just number one. Number two, he has like the world's most soothing voice. So already you're getting ASMR with paintbrushes on the canvas, and you're already hearing his like soothing voice that can like easily help you go to sleep. But you'll wake up with your canvas already like painted with just beauty, you know, greatness. I would have Bob Ross as my teacher. That would be really cool. Like if he was able to, you know, if he was alive still, I would ask him like, hey, you should be my art teacher. That'd be really cool.
Hmm. Yep, from which honestly, like, I love his famous quote that says, "There are no mistakes, only happy accidents." Like that just makes you feel like you hey, like you just like failed, but like go back and try again, and that's something
I-
that
ima-
you
Imagine him telling that to Master Oogway. That no accidents,
only happy mistakes.
only happy mistakes.
Yep.
The showdown of Bob Ross versus Master Oogway.
Hmm. Yeah, but honestly, Bob Ross is like a good choice to learn from. I feel like.
He'd be a cool teacher to have. I don't if I had to choose another one though. Imagine having The Rock as your gym teacher. You know how cool it would be to have The Rock on a dodgeball match. It's already game over when The Rock is on your team.
Dude, yep. But honestly, I would feel kind of nervous too, but at the same time, because I feel like I would be disappoint him because I would be out of shape and I'd be like too embarrassed to like even like show off like because basically I would think that like I would never compare to someone as great as The Rock. I respect him as an actor though. His movies are phenomenal.
He was great in the WWE. I like The Rock as a wrestler. As an actor, I mean, there's some movies that I like and don't like from him, but I like him as a wrestler because he used to put on some like great matches. Well, I mean that's kind of how he started anyways in his acting career. He started in WWE and then he made his way up to the right to the acting, or I guess Hollywood in a sense. Which fun fact, he actually had to pay was it like WWE a good sum of his paychecks over to him because they were using The Rock, right? Because that's a trademark name and WWE had the rights to it. So every time The Rock would get a paycheck, he would give him like or he would give like the owner a certain amount of money on the movies that he would make until sooner or later, like he didn't have to use The Rock for his to get him well known in the acting industry. So he would just use like his real name, and so all of the money would just go directly to him, which I think is pretty cool. I could be wrong if I'm being honest, but at least that's what I heard. Like on I think it was like some wrestling YouTube show.
Hmm. Very interesting. So, if you could have him on your podcast, would you take the opportunity?
Dude, I don't even know what I would like. I don't even know what I would say if The Rock was on the podcast. You know what he would do? He would be like, "It's great to be on the podcast. What's your name?" And I would try to say my name. He's like, "But it doesn't matter what your name is." You know that's how he was in WWE. He used to put on these like he would put on an act, and some of his catchphrases. He's like, "I'm here on the podcast in front of the millions," and then just you hear the audience in the background and billions. If you smell what the Rock is cooking, and then he just would leave. That's how I would imagine the Rock, uh, you know, coming on the podcast. That's what I would think. But it would be an honor to have the Rock on a podcast. But it's probably like later on in the long run. I don't know. We'll see. This podcast is a test run. So I mean, who knows where it's gonna lead soon.
Hmm. Well, I'm very grateful to be the first person on your podcast, and this has been so far an amazing experience in which I've really got to know you as a person, and you really got to know me. Like, there's some things I didn't even know about you until today, and there's some things you probably didn't know about me until we had this podcast.
Indeed, bro. And you know what? I appreciate you for coming on the podcast. Who knows who knows? Maybe you'll be on the second podcast, or you may be on the third, the fourth. I don't know, man. This podcast is still new, so it's still under development. We'll see who we can bring on here. Maybe have a second person, a second member co-host, but we'll see. But you know what? It was an honor to have you again, Andrew. It's always nice to speak with you once again. And you know what? For the people who are going to be watching this, look at that. You learn something new every day. So you learn something about the lovely Simp Andrew, and you learned something about me at least for today. So, but who knows? We'll just see how it goes. But dude, thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Dude. Well, this is real nice. It's real exciting. But we'll see what happens in episode 2. We'll see what who comes on. But hey, man, hey, thanks for coming on, and we'll see you guys in the next podcast.
Bye, guys.
Laters.